All right, everybody, we should be live. Let's make sure that's actually the case over on Rumble, of course, where chat is moving. I see people are piling in. And just a second here. It says wait till it finishes processing. Normally, it should be processed by now. Okay, there we go. I just had to refresh it. Yes, indeed. We've got our first live stream in however many days. I can't even remember at this point. And it's been a while. And also, I'll be going on live, of course, with the quartering at 5:30 Eastern time later. So there will be a second live stream today, of course. We'll be talking about some news and some bants. We'll be ranting and raving a little bit. First off, though, we've got our first super chat of the day. The Dashing Rogue. Kudos for getting back to the Netherlands to be the big bird to your little bird and other bird. Keep up the good work. Thank you very much. Yes, indeed. There's going to be a lot of... I'm under a little bit of stress right now. It's a good stress, but I've got to put a lot of things together at the moment. So we'll be talking about that, I'm sure, in the intermediate future. People piling in. We've got to talk about the redacted redactions within the NARA case. You know, the Mar-a-Lago documents case. We're going to go through some of that verbatim because Jack Smith really didn't want, I think, these documents to be unredacted in the way that they were. And it's pretty damning, actually, for the DOJ's case against Donald Trump. In fact, looking at the documents topically earlier, this might very well sink their case. They might not be able to actually find him guilty in that particular instance, which is good for Donald Trump, really bad for the Biden administration. We've got the RFK Jr. worship cult. We'll be talking about how dumb that is. Step aside, President Biden, for the sake of democracy. And because Kennedy is the only candidate who can beat Donald Trump, I happen to disagree with that. I don't think that he would win. FTC voting to ban non-compete agreements. I've got a nuanced take on that. I'm of two minds. Part of it is good, at least on paper. Part of it is bad. And that tends to be my take on government policy because usually that is, it's like, they promote something and it sounds really good on paper, but then in practice, it kind of falls through. Patriot Act. It's good to be patriotic now, isn't it? It's good to think of the children and keep them safe from terrorists, but then you end up spying on people's library records. New Delhi chokes as Trash Mountain fire spreads hazardous fumes. Yes, there is indeed a major landfill fire in New Delhi in India. And environmentalism is something they're going to need to take care for. If they're going to become truly a superpower. India rising, but they do have some issues, admittedly, environmental and medical mainly. Voyager 1 is now sending data back to Earth. That is the furthest out satellite, actually, that we've ever sent. That was sent on its mission. God, let me read through this really quickly. I can't remember the year that they launched that one. Wasn't it back in the 70s or something like that? It's in interstellar space, so it's not anywhere near our solar system at this point. It passed Pluto some time ago. And thankfully, they were able to repair a subroutine on this particular satellite. It's basically like programming a calculator, considering the technology of the time. Lossivar, Sticks, will you be appearing on the SawCon podcast? I don't know, maybe. That'd be fine. They can DM me on Twitter. Maybe they already have, but the problem is I get like 50 DMs every single day and then a bunch of requested DMs as well. So things can get lost. Mike the Wop, Tarl, I think a lack of sunlight and vitamin D had me readied off myself this past winter. I feel better after laying in my kayak, wearing nothing but shorts and a watch. Clankers, take note. I'm throwing you pearls. Thank you very much for that. Yeah, I've got a little bit of a tan too, actually, at the moment. I tend to turn red as opposed to that bronze color that fortunate people do. I was doing a shit ton of gardening the other day. Looks like it might rain again, actually. Unfortunately, we had a brief spell there where it was sunny. And in between this live stream and my stream with the quartering, weather permitting, I do need to do more garden work because there's a lot still to do. Crossover Maniac. Little known fact, Netherlands is at a higher latitude than the continental US, but because it's east of the Atlantic, it has a milder climate. True, actually. Bro in Christ. Fuck RFK. Anti-Clank. Yeah, so we'll be talking about RFK Jr. Some people seem to think that he can beat Donald Trump, and Yeah, I have my own take on that. I tend to disagree. Loss of art. How about you saw con D's? Oh God. Hard hardy har. Anyways, we'll get first to the major news of the day. Thanks to an order by Judge Cannon. Link in the description to all these, by the way. Pinned link at the above if you're watching on YouTube to my books blog, by the way. I'll just throw that out there. There's some good shit available. Key evidence related to classified docs case is now unredacted. You can go through this for yourself. I won't do it verbatim. On the left, what the DOJ and Jack Smith wanted to conceal. On the right, now we know why. More proof of collaboration, by the way, between Biden, White House, and NARA to concoct a case. That's the National Archives, by the way. Outrageous lies by Joe Biden, Attorney General Merrick Garland, and DOJ Jack Smith about independence from the investigation into Trump. The Biden White House and DOJ were intimately involved in developing a criminal case against Trump for records mismanagement. It appears the first go-around related to alleged destruction of government papers, which didn't happen. Contrary to public and legal assertions, NARA was working with the DOJ and the White House to craft a criminal referral by September 2021. 5 months before the official referral by NARA to DOJ in February 2022. The redactions on the left, newly filed unredacted version on the right. Now, much of this is just very pedestrian. There's one thing to note, though. It appears that effectively what happened, and this is, this is basically the allegation you would make if you look through this. It appears that Donald Trump and his people were working directly with the National Archives. Now, we knew this originally. They were complaining about how long it was taking them to repatriate documents to the National Archives, right? That was their official complaint. That's what triggered the FBI raid, supposedly. But Trump was actually, and his team, working with them directly in order to repatriate the documents. It's just that somebody at the National Archives effectively lost their patience. It's insane. Now you know why the insiders, like Andrew Weissman and Barb McQuaid, are desperate to get rid of Judge Cannon. They indeed are. Without her courage on this matter, incriminating evidence of Biden's White House and DOJ running the investigative show behind the scenes would be buried maybe forever. Not forever, just long enough for everyone involved to be dead, like the Gulf of Tonkin incident. DOJ told NARA what to do to cover their tracks. The Biden Department of Energy also involved in the cover-up. DOE discovered after Smith handed down his indictment that Trump had an active security clearance, so they retroactively terminated it. Well, there goes your case, basically. What this proves is that Donald Trump and his team, a legal team mainly, were fully cooperative with the National Archives. That is, that the documents would be repatriated. They were openly discussing the issue with them. We knew part of this to begin with and suspected the rest. And they decided to jump the gun. They wanted a case against Donald Trump. That's basically what this points out. What they wanted to do is then cover their asses. And I love some of these responses. Vindication of Trump under PRA. A typical transition is unjustly criminalized. Indict Jack Smith for malfeasance of his oath to uphold justice in pursuit of truth. Smith, Garland, and FBI need to be removed. I agree with that, by the way. Don't even need an FBI anymore. It was originally incepted to be a temporary agency, and most people don't even understand that. So Donald Trump is being railroaded by the DOJ and by Jack Smith currently. Slightly protected by Judge Cannon, who is actually doing the job that she's supposed to do. I mean, unredacting these documents, you got to understand Jack Smith fought against this for months in court, basically saying, no, yeah, this is sensitive information and shit like that. And Judge Cannon said no, and it's really not. It just shows that he was cooperative at the time, which is something that you've asserted to the American people that he wasn't, that he was supposedly very stubborn and locked the documents away under guard and refused to give them back. It turns out that's not actually what happened. Not a surprise, though. They're persecuting him. Effectively, what this boils down to is they're just gunning for Donald Trump. I mean, most of you out there watching this live stream know that, but now we've got more corroboration. We've got legal filings involved with that very thing. I have a feeling that much like the corruption in Fulton County kind of collapses that case, and the bond appeal kind of collapses the case with Letitia James and Engoron. I have a feeling that this case too will collapse. In fact, I'm beginning to wonder, does Donald Trump get found guilty of literally anything? He might end up skating on all of these spurious charges. He should. It would be good for the country, I think. He might not get that campaign boost by actually being able to emerge from the Mar-a-Lago with his ankle monitor on. Sadly, we may not actually see that. It would be really funny if he was found guilty of something, because seeing them scramble to figure out the logistics of taking a person who has a 24/7 security detail and putting them in a jail cell would be pretty funny. Bento Whelan, congratulate me, Sticks. I was offered a promotion. Congratulations. You should take the offer. Tomes Esquire, I've spent thousands of hours playing Fallout, and New Vegas is easily contender for best ever, although Fallout 3 is my fave. New Vegas is great with a very simple mod list to fix stability. Just Google Viva New Vegas. I don't know, I prefer Fallout 4, actually, myself. Ryan McDonald, USA. New Jersey removed county party endorsements in elections. We call it the county line. New Jersey was the only state in the USA to use it, but it is no longer in play. Interesting. Mark Gutu, had a dream with you. Went to movie prop store at the mall, bought roller skates, skated home and ate brownies. Thought you should know. Interesting. So I was at the mall with you and we ate brownies or something? Or did you just see me there? I don't know. I don't eat brownies. I haven't had brownies in a very long time because I don't like sweets. The only sweet things that I eat, fruit. Nah, that's basically all. I'll use a little bit of sugar in the marinara sauce or something like that once in a while. But other than that, I don't eat any refined sugar. Even the Simply ketchup there that was sent to me by the children of the people that run Heritage Heirloom Seeds, it has cane sugar in it, but there's no corn syrup or anything like that. Mike the Womp, new lawsuit against Trump. Don't rewind the tape when he brought it back to Blockbuster 30 years ago. $70 million fine. Nah, it wouldn't be surprising. They'd probably do that if they could. The Emperor's Champion. I feel like November is our last chance to resolve all our issues peacefully, get everyone out and vote Trump. A vote for Trump is a vote for peace, as it was in 2016 and 2020. You see what happened when the Biden regime took over. Lots of wars broke out. Ego Mayhem over on Rumble. Yo Sticks, any suggestions for container gardens for those of us with concrete yards? Also, I'm a consultant and this NDA thing is driving folks nuts. They're just waiting for it to be appealed. I don't really do a lot of container gardening. Make sure the pot has good drainage and just get really good soil, and you can, grow most things in there. Keep in mind, if it's on concrete, it might overheat the roots, I think. Bayonne 201, good morning from Gay Stowe, Vermont. Gay's got Trump 2024. Walk every day, it will make you feel good. Why is this court case RE Hunter Biden laptop? #clank. I don't know what the latter part means, but yes, you should definitely walk every day. Ego Mayhem, non-compete, not NDA. Silly. Yeah, we'll be talking about the non-compete decision. It's a funny one. Scruffly 0105, thoughts on the male protagonist from Fallout 4 being the guy who shoots the Canadian in the intro of the first Fallout game? I don't know. I've never played Fallout 1. I've never played Fallout 2 either. Wasted Bonehead, good morning from the grave. Sticks, you are bought and paid for by Big Bill Tom. Yeah, definitely. Anton is branching out. He's got a couple new locations going up. Dagnabbit32, shout out to my son's Substack, Mr. Crusader. He writes alternate history. That sounds fun. I've used your attitude on improvement to improve myself and my family. Yes, never get black-pilled, always drop a vice and build a new skill. Sigil Stone 17, good morning and welcome back to the back of the Back to USSA. My efforts to conduct a poop transplant on Bonehead continues apace. You might like that. Wasted Bonehead, you will eat the biltong. Sticks. Yes, indeed, you will. Everyone pile over onto Anton's for some good meat. Dagnabbit32, Sticks, thoughts on panspermia. I've heard the term, but I can't quite recall exactly what it means, unfortunately. Doc Holiday 59, going to California to visit family for 2 weeks. Pray for me, and Sticks, maybe you can cast a voodoo occult spell on my commie detractors. As good luck over there, Jesus. Virgil Shadow, John Locke or Thomas Paine? You mean Loki. Thomas Paine. Wasted Bonehead, you will self-improve and you will own something. Also sticks. These are pro-Biltong messages. Sigilstone, you will poop on the grave. Oh God. It continues unabated. That pie over there. New York State had a moment of clarity and signed a rare win into state law, changing property law to a tenant shall not include a squatter to address the issue. Yeah, they were forced to do it, though. You know that if it was only sporadic, they wouldn't have. Had to get into the news first. Clarity 2199. Please shout out the Toy and Plastic Brick Museum. Yes, indeed. Opens May 15th. End of August in Bel Air, Ohio. Sticks, you still need to DM my reply. My apologies. Please DM me at some point this afternoon, because you've got to understand I get a shit ton of DMs and sometimes they get lost. It's really not my fault. It's just too many people trying to communicate, and I'm antisocial. Mr. Bird, do you listen to rockabilly music? If so, who are your favorite singers? Wouldn't Tiger Army, I think, would count as rockabilly, wouldn't it? I like that. But not often, no. Mainly I listen to old 80s material. A guy under a bridge. I watched him today and I'm feeling black-pilled. Well, don't be black-pilled. Again, just, build up a skill or something like that. Self-improve in some marginal way, and you're more likely to make it. We are in dark times, but that doesn't mean we have to make them darker. This is from the Kennedy Beacon, which is a hilarious title for this particular Substack. Step aside, President Biden, for the sake of democracy, and because Kennedy is the only candidate who can beat Donald Trump. Let me talk about this. RFK Jr., were he the nominee, and he won't be, for the Democratic Party, would have absolutely no snowball's chance in hell against Donald Trump. Part of it is simply optics and character. Now, he has a verbal disorder, and this is actually meaningful. It's not his fault. It doesn't say anything about his intelligence. It doesn't say anything about his policies, but the man can't speak very easily. He has verbal problems. Getting your message across to people in as soaring and coherent a manner as possible is important. There's a reason why we remember great speakers more than we remember mediocre speakers. And we remember mediocre speakers generally more than we do substandard speakers. RFK Jr., theirs is number one problem. Literally nothing more than the ability to speak. He is coherent, but he has, I can't remember what the hell it's called. It's some sort of verbal disorder. And so it affects his ability to speak. That's number one. Number two, he's very niche. He would get Democratic, if he were the nominee, he'd get Dem partisans. Well, that's perfectly fine, but you need to cater to independents. The problem is he's actually very extremely far left, further than Joe Biden on several major issues. Environmentalism and guns. He sounds a little bit like an anti-gun Jimmy Carter at times, actually, with his particular policies. The fact that on honk honk, we won't mention exactly which ones, certain medical issues, he might have had more of a nuanced view than many of his left-wing contemporaries, does not mean that overall, if you look at the cornucopia containing his various policy views, it doesn't mean that it's not effectively leftoidism. He would effectively be he couldn't win. There's no possibility. Donald Trump could quite literally be in a jail cell. And I think RFK Jr. would lose. Biden, for better or for worse, free advice to the Democrats who will never take it. Biden does have the best chance of anyone to actually kind of match Donald Trump. I still think that Donald Trump is pretty likely to win re-election. In fact, very likely, actually, at this point, considering the gas prices surging again and all of these other problems. Those $8 a jar pickles, they really rankle me. I go to the grocery store sometimes and you get sticker shock. Joe Biden, though, while incoherent and with an incoherent foreign policy, terrible domestic policy on both economics and the border, ironically, not just because of the incumbency, but simply because RFK Jr. has a speaking impediment and has certain far left views that Joe Biden tends to strenuously avoid. Joe Biden is actually more viable than RFK Jr. Try to tell this to somebody who really likes RFK Jr. and they will jump up and down in a tree and throw their poo at you. it has become cultish in nature. I hate to use that term because it's often very overused, especially within sociopolitics. But the belief that he can, number one, be nominated, which he can't. Number two, if nominated, which he won't, would be able to win, which he can't. That belief is simply delusional. It's literally a form of delusion at this point. There's no, I mean, it's impossible. It's like saying, well, Dean Phillips out of nowhere. Dean Phillips still cleans up the votes, actually, in the Dem primaries. You may have noticed that in Pennsylvania the other day. I thought that was funny. I think he dropped out some time ago. I think he got more than 6% of the vote. So there's still a dissident vote, by the way, against Joe Biden. By the way, as well, against Donald Trump with the Nikki Haley voters. Although I would point out that some of those people voted long ago in those primaries. Brock Sampson 71. Hey, Sticks, did you ever watch Robotech Macross Saga? Never heard of it at all. Deplorable Pirate Captain Gunbeard. Did you see what Rhino Tony Gonzalez said about Brandon Herrera on CNN? No, I didn't. I don't watch CNN. I try to pay as little attention to legacy media as I can. Redane, a cult video idea, ancient mystery cults. I think I have covered some of the ancient cults, like the cult of Dionysos and some of these others. I think I made a video about that some time ago. You have to check the occult playlist. Crossover maniac panspermia is the theory that primitive one-cell life that would evolve into the different species on Earth was seeded from outer space. That is possible. It's not impossible if that's the case. Liz's Groiper Bowl. I am wearing a cuck ring. Groiper, Groiper, Groiper. Yeah, the Groiper's having a hard time assuming that TMZ article about Kanye making porn is true, although, to be clear, it's TMZ. So, yeah, I'm going to take it with a big-ass grain of salt. Multiple grains. Jordan, shout. Next time you're back in Holland, visit my sister at Smederij Atelier Alkmaar. Her and her hub do workshops to make your own knives. Ah, nice. This sounds cool. Senor Faces. Is RFK Jr. the Dems' AstroTurf equivalent of Ron DeSantis? Ron DeSantis wasn't as much of an AstroTurf. In fact, I have to give him credit where credit's due. Some of those illegals are suing the state of Florida right now, and they got visas, U visas, as a result of this. No, he's worse because he's also a leftoid. He's deeply anti-gun, and he thinks that corporate heads should be going to jail if they question the existence of man-made climate change. So I can't get on board with such things. Dillybod, war is natural, peace is not. Oh, to be naive like you and Tim. War is an animal nature and always will be, even when we become spacebound. Yes, indeed, war is the norm throughout human history as soon as we gained organized status, organized cultures. I do agree with that. I do also believe, though, that humans are intelligent enough to understand why we should not be waging it in a fruitless manner. Insane, hippie, insane. RFK's VP pick and major financial backer funds the same type activist politicians and DAs as Soros. He is a puppet for globalist interests. I agree with you completely. People keep saying, no, he's a man of the people. No, I don't think so. Let's see. Sigil Stone, panspermia? Isn't that what pansexuals do after viewing cookware? And a follow-up, RFK's verbal disorder is what is scientifically known as being a lying cocksucker. No, he has a literal one too, not just the typical politician bullshit. He's got a literal disorder. It's much like height in politicians. The taller politician is more likely to win. This has been studied over and over again. Height is also correlated with victory in electoral politics. Weight would be correlated. You know, the person like Chris Christie. I mean, what are people talking about when they think of Chris Christie? Is it his views or is it how fat he is? Ta-da! Scruffly 0105. All wars and diplomatic disagreement should be settled in Quake 3 arena instead of in the trenches. Oh, yes, we'll get to our merch partners just a sec. Heritage Heirloom Seed Company. Sticks pre-orders for the custom Sticks Hexenhammer soap collection are available. By the way, I showered with the official Sticks Hexenhammer soap. That's with the cedar, clove, and blueberry the other day. And it's fantastic. I mean, you can't even believe how fantastic it smells. I smelled like autumn after I washed with that. And I definitely needed it after, 15 hours or so in transit. I was a little bit stanky-manky, and it was great. Let's go to our merch partners really quickly. before we continue. We've got pumpkinfirecrafts.us, where you can get amulets, my personal favorite, engraved Ouroboros and Clank spoons. You can also get bookmarks, keychains, and belt chains there. Again, pumpkinfirecrafts.us. BiltongUSA.com. Use code STICKS for free shipping. You can get your delicious meat straight from Anton in Roanoke, Texas. Again, use code STICKS. You can also get some Sticks Hex and Hammer mugs, tumblers, and shirts while you're there. Wicked Needle Embroidery.bigcartel.com, where you can get Sticks Hex and Hammer hats. And I've got one of them right here, actually. That's one of the two designs. The other one has the logo offset over here without the wings on it. And I like both of the designs. I've got both of them. HeritageHeirloomSeedCompany.com. Again, there is now soap available there too. Handmade soap. It's with goat's milk. All of the scents are delicious, but I mean, I'm obviously going to promote the Sticks Hex and Hammer soap collection. You can get that. It's in pre-order now. And it really does smell really fucking good. Just saying that you're probably going to like that. We've got websterswares.com/sticks-wares, where you can get various Sticks Hexen merchandise. I believe the beanies are now available. You can also go to the main site there. There's Trump paraphernalia, including like the flag behind me, and many more things available as well. Jamandbean.com, that is JAMNbean.com, where you can get some delicious coffee and tea. Costa Rica blend, definitely my coffee of choice. I've had that many times. It's nice and smooth. You can take it black without anything else in it. And even like, you know, sometimes you put a little too much coffee in it and the coffee is like, it's like rock gut. You're not going to get that with Jam and Bean. It's nice and smooth, silky. And finally, MTPew, that is MTPEW.com, where you can get some good ammunition, of course. You can get, I believe, you've got 9, 45, 223, 556, 40 Smith & Wesson, and a few others. And you can get it, of course, made with range brass, so it's reloaded, or, of course, you have the newly manufactured ammunition as well. Those are our sponsors. Making sure it's like a PBS segment. You know how PBS back in the day, they're like, brought to you by, and then they would list them off. But they didn't have cool companies backing them like I do. We've got soap and ammunition and crazy meat and stuff like that. All they had was like, you know, the Ma and Pop bookstore down the road or something like that. Fucking lame. Wasted Bonehead Sigil, I had to move to a mausoleum because of Biden's inflation. The grave you're pooping on is vacant. Dumbass can't tell I'm an empty grave from a normal one. So now he has a dead person's apartment. Sad you had to downsize. J. Russ of Auburn Valley. Good afternoon, Sticks and Clank Nation. Currently dropping my spendthrift habits, working on my math skills, and learning Japanese. Self-improvement really does keep the black pills away. Yeah, Japanese, talk about one hell of a difficult language. They have like Chinese characters sprinkled in too, and it doesn't even always make sense. Sigilstone. How am I supposed to know the grave is vacant when the damn skeleton is always running around doing dumb shit and never in it? Gotta poop in a mausoleum now. At least it's indoors. Be definitely better in the winter time. Wasted Bonehead Sigil. The mausoleum is full of skeletons armed to the teeth. They used to be crusaders. Come and poo. They'll take no shit. Sigil, you're going to get boned. Alicia Jones. We finally bought a house out in the country. Bigger gardens, fruit trees, and chickens coming soon. Goodbye, city. Hello, future. I want some chickens myself. Yes, absolutely. Joel Castillo. Ave, true to Caesar. Alan Tenaz. I started a garden, but some of the tomatoes that are supposed to be green turned red. But I think it's because they saw the salad dressing. Yeah, you can do fried green tomatoes. By the way, one of the most bullshit movies ever made. I never understood the concept. Let them turn red so that they're actually ripe. Citrus Peppercorn. This guy called Red Eagle Politics. I've spoken to him, actually. He makes videos about elections and just reached 178,000 subs. He's a Trump supporter that watches you. It'd be great if you two had a crossover. Yeah, I'll talk to him anytime. I like Red Eagle Politics. Follow him on Twitter. Mike the Wop, I'm 6'4". Do I get to complain like fat folks that the world isn't made for me? At least they can lose weight. I can't lose height. Well, I mean, you can. You can always get your legs cut off and have prosthetics that are shorter than your normal legs. Yeah, I'm 6'2", so I feel your pain. I've hit my head many times on objects. Endless Vertigo for a better microphone only. I do have one on order. And by the way, I should probably point that out. I do apologize that right now my microphone quality is bullshit. I'm using the webcam. My Yeti microphone that I was using got folded, spindled, and mutilated during transit from the Netherlands, and so I had to get a new one. I'm thinking probably I'm gonna fucking order a second one actually to the Netherlands, just so as I go back and forth, there's no problem with that. Green Text Pro, Alternative Chan, Honeypot, Friends Chan has shut down. What is your opinion of Alt Chan, such as 8chan, 420chan, etc.? Don't really use them, but I have no problem with them. I like anonymous posting. Huns with Guns. I want to visit the Netherlands just to get mogged by a level 5 tall, blonde, NGL, no cap, for real, for real. Goodness. John Hoyle. Neocons are back on X. They claim that the Iraqi wars were necessary and justified. I believe that act led us to Obama. Your thoughts on the Iraq war? I was against it and I'm still am. It was a dumb decision. Robert Manley. Sticks. What is the German word for German Gutentite? I have a Guten. You mean good night, so it'd be Guten Nacht, right? I think. No, you'd have to ask Liz. I don't know much German. Other than shouting random Hitler quotes to bother other people back in high school. Moose, I wish more creators were as honest as you. Just refreshing. It's not sinful to receive info from a non-Christian. Aristotle, Plato, Sun Tzu. Thanks. Thank you too. Johnny D. Smithson, paramedic on a res. We had a coven razor an infant to drain and do a ritual. Kiddo made it. Some medics went to therapy. Crazy world here. Goodness. Lance the BMC, why did you bring up Christie? I am actually happy that he did not win due to not being sucked into his gravitational field. Yeah, and nobody wanted him to win, including his own fans. Just some TDS sufferers. They're all voting Haley right now. John Andrew, everyone can and should do their own gardening. We had a double lot. My parents used the entire backyard as a veggie garden. You don't have a yard? Do some container gardening. Agreed. Zowie Fenderblast. Hi, Sticks. Hello, Zowie. Let's see. Sigil Stone, challenge accepted. Pumpkin Fire Crafts, hey Clank Army, new artwork is now available and listing more now. More coffee mugs coming soon too. Please feel free to message me with ideas. I make most everything and can do many designs. Clank. Yeah, Pumpkin Fire is pretty cool. Sigil Stone, you see that robot dog with the flamethrower attached to it? Only 10,000. Want to get one? Want to loan me 10,000? Huh. Yeah, it's like the Quartering actually ordered one of those. I'll be going live with him later at 5:30. Yeah, I'd rather spend less than that and get an actual military-grade flamethrower. You can literally mail order them. There's almost no regulation on them in the United States. The Unintended. Why was the ketchup embarrassed? Because it saw the salad dressing. Oh, God. Anyways, now we've got to talk about non-compete agreements. The FTC votes 3-2 to approve a nationwide ban on non-compete agreements, with a few exceptions for senior executives. For them, it's perfectly fine. Let's talk about the good, bad, and the ugly. The good. You should not be prevented from working for one company and then working for another company that competes within the same field. So let's say you work at McDonald's, you flip burgers. Since Bidenomics is a thing and everyone's taking out second part-time gigs, if you want to have a second part-time gig at Wendy's or something, you should not be prevented from doing that, because you might not be able to find any upward mobility because of the lack of capitalism within the economy. So you might need to take out that side gig. So in that sense, it's a good idea for lower level workers. In the sense of government regulation, I have to oppose it because the FTC shouldn't be regulating anything. Fuck them. We should have a completely capitalistic economy, and then you wouldn't need to worry about this sort of thing in a fully capitalistic economy because you'd have more lateral and upward mobility. You'd also probably have a lot less inflation, so people could actually afford pickles. I'm never going to stop fucking talking about them. Take Let's Go Brandon stickers and put them in the grocery store, put them next to the pickles every single time. Hey, remember when these were $3.99 for this 1.5 pint jar? Well, now they're $10. Fuck you. That's basically the pickle statement of the year. And so on that token, I can't really get behind it. The other problem is, would this not tend to siphon talented work into big corporations that take government money? So if, again, in a fully capitalistic economy, so the government stays the fuck away, private businesses determine basically everything within business, which is the way that it should be. It's the Enlightenment era sort of philosophy. It's a good idea. In the absence of that, this wouldn't be a problem. I mean, in the presence of that, it wouldn't be a problem. Right now, though, what you've got is that government throws free money at businesses through not just regular investment like of yesteryear, but also DEI, grants and funds and shit like that, loans and so forth. Does this not disproportionately favor companies that are getting government money being able to throw more money out there to attract employees from ma and pa stores or regional chains or something like that, like making it on steroids? I mean, it's already a thing. Of course, Google is going to be able to offer you a higher salary than some startup is probably going to be able to offer you. Would this not potentially create a scenario in which you have actually more brain drain from the more competitive, smaller and regional businesses towards the larger ones, whether it's a corporate and general tech, whatever it happens to be? Well, I would think that it would. And so I've got mixed feelings about this. As far as low-level employees go, it solves a major problem, which is that right now they have to be able to find whatever work they can find because you need a second job in order to buy groceries and not take out credit card debt. For everything else, especially within skilled labor, would this not create an imbalance of power, like even more than we already have? I think that it's going to be a problem. And by the way, whenever the government bureaus enact a regulation like this or a rule, doesn't it always seem to backfire in the end and make things worse? Well, I'm just waiting for when that happens. Citrus Peppercorn, I want to buy one of your books. Where should I start? It depends. Do you want edited works, from yesteryear that I've made modernized editions of? Well, then just peruse the categories at your leisure on the Books blog. Again, pinned at the top on YouTube, cross-platform link in the description. If you want something that I have written, just go to the My Works section on there. And there's some of them are funny. I've got descriptions for all the work. Some of them are funny. Some of them are political. Some of them are about spiritual topics. And you can just, again, look through what you want. Dark World XL. Sticks, what do you think of What If Alphist? He makes interesting anthropology videos. Never heard of him. Have to look it up. And a follow-up from Citrus Peppercorn. You should record more Fallout Let's Plays since the new upgrade is coming out, and I really enjoyed you playing games. I don't really have time for gaming these days. I got other things that I have to do. The Copper Owl. Now I have to build a Lego mausoleum for Bonehead. Oh, God. I used to make little Lego grave sites. BW. Non-compete agreements for companies like McDonald's or Walmart or Amazon is fucking stupid anyway, since no one can really compete with them. Yeah, the government throws them a bunch of money. Sigilstone. Non-compete agreements make sense at the high level because at the top you likely know things that can only be used as an unfair advantage against the company you're leaving. Agreed. Wasted Bonehead. Sigil, I don't think you understand. These crusaders are itching for a fight, and they're still pissed about Constantinople. Seeing a heathen like you would be their wet dream. New Delhi chokes as trash mountain fire spreads hazardous fumes. India's capital choked on toxic fumes Tuesday as a thick and pungent haze spread from a fire at a towering trash dump, the latest in a series of landfill blazes that authorities have struggled for years to bring under control. Sections of the Gazipur landfill in New Delhi burst into flames on Sunday, causing dangerous heat and methane emissions and adding to India's growing climate challenges. Well, fuck that. Nobody gives a fuck. By Tuesday, the blaze at the capital's largest landfill had largely been put out, but people living nearby complained of throat and eye irritation due to lingering acrid air, according to local media reports. The cause of the fire remains unknown, and probably, a piece of glass in the landfill acted as a magnifying lens and started a fire, probably. Landfill blazes are often triggered by combustible gases from disintegrating garbage. Here's the thing. If you had a better, more efficient system of sorting things out, like, for instance, glass can be remelted and then reused. Organics can be composted. Unless it's meat or something like that. You have less of the decomposition gases if you don't put the vegetative matter in the landfill. Largely, you could reduce the amount of landfill usage, number one. You could decrease food scarcity, number two. You could decrease the leaching of nutrients into especially the oceans, but also, waste areas, number three. if you just educated people on, composting and things like that. Instead, you've got what appears to be, I don't know exactly how tall this is. Link in the description. You can look at some of the pictures. It's insane. There's like little fires all over this heap of trash. It looks like that might be 100 feet tall. It probably stretches for miles. And the problem is that India is a rapidly developing country. And there are many good things about it. Investments pouring in, and they're rapidly industrializing marginal areas. Sanitation has taken hold, and there's more literacy than before. India is doing fairly well for a developing nation. Their military is also growing quickly as well. But they've got a pervasive problem with trash and pollution. And they have for a very, very long time. It's been a problem for many, many years, since before most of the people watching this video were born. It was already a problem long ago. You had a lack of sanitation, a lack of access to basic infrastructure. Once the infrastructure was hooked up, now you have trade and travel and more mercantile trade and stuff, but then you've got a lot of trash to deal with. And so it's sort of like, plastic bags are their tumbleweeds. And it needs to be cleaned up, because otherwise you're holding your country back. They're going to have a mass educational campaign, mass sanitation efforts, I think, more than anything else. Landfills, by the way, shouldn't even necessarily be a thing for most of the things that are in them. All sorts of stuff is dumped in landfills that could be recycled, reused, or reduced. There's no reason why there should be piles of plastic all over the world, poisoning people. They had a study a few days ago. Apparently, plastic microparticles can enter the brain's neurons. That's rather alarming, especially since you're involuntarily exposed to them on a daily basis. There is literally nothing you can do about nanoplastics. You can be in goddamn Antarctica and you'll still be exposed to some degree of plastics. There was an article, actually, I talked about it earlier. They developed a sort of bioplastic. It's not actually a plastic, it's just plastic-like in its form and function. And they make it with chitosan, which is a marine polymer, or I can't remember, a polysaccharide, sorry. I was mixing them up. And it's also made with eggshells and wheat straw. Well, those are pretty easy to obtain, and it can leach phosphorus out of water. And so we can do two great environmental things at the same time. I've spoken for over 10 years about the leaching of phosphates off of the land and how it's non-renewable, and largely into the oceans and into lakes and rivers and stuff. If you could mass deploy this, you could recoup that, so you get less algal blooms, blue-green algae. It's toxic potentially when it blooms. You get less problems, less pollution in the water, and then you can put it on your farm fields. And literally all you need is eggshells and wheat straw and stuff like that. Let's see. Sigilstone, be right back. Getting my Saracen costume ready to spank some Crusader bums. Assless chaps, of course, are included. Wasted Bonehead, collecting flamethrowers at the moment. Our mausoleum has its own Greek fire. Our mausoleum will never be pooed on. Yeah, little do people know you can actually get military-grade flamethrowers and order them online. They're kind of expensive, but they're not as expensive as a robot dog flamethrower, I think. SPLE, thoughts on the Pennsylvania primary with Nikki Haley getting 16%? Some of those people had already voted. They had voted early, and the rest is just a TDS vote. They'll fall in line in the end. F YouTube 10.2, does an owl ever come to you in a dream? Just looking at you. Well, yeah, of course. It happened when I was a little kid, but it wasn't a dream, too. Joel Castillo, the Legion is the best faction for the Mojave. You can't change my mind. Then we have interesting science news. I wanted to talk about this one. Voyager 1 is sending data back to Earth for the first time in 5 months. Now, keep in mind, Voyager 1 is an old satellite that they fired out into space just to go soaring off through the universe, basically. And they lost contact with it some time ago, and they're like, oh, shit, well, it's finally kaput, We're screwed. Had a long and historied life, though, even though its processing power is probably on the order of a calculator at this point. And I do mean that literally. I want to look something up, though, however. Just a sec. Given Voyager 1's immense distance from Earth, it takes a radio signal about 22 and a half hours to reach the probe, and another 22 and a half hours for a response signal from the spacecraft to reach Earth. They really should be using lasers, by the way. to try to transmit data between long distance craft and Earth. It'd be a little bit faster than radio, I think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that light travels faster than radio signals. Let me look this up. Let me look this up really quickly. Yeah, they managed to recalibrate it. They managed to move the data around in its system to different chips or different components. Yeah, this was 1977, actually, that it was originally released. So, yeah, the technology was a little bit different back then. Just look at any sci-fi movie from the 60s or 70s, and you'll see the sort of things that we're talking about. Voyager 2, which is operating normally, has traveled more than 12.6 billion miles from our planet. Yeah, so these twin satellites continue to gather data. Not necessarily the most meaningful data. I mean, you're talking again about the 70s. The ability to send back a photograph, not necessarily going to happen. But they are in interstellar space, and it's good that they managed to recalibrate them. Again, there was a corruption there, and it kept like looping its message, so it was like fried out. And they didn't have enough space on one ship to store the data that they had backed up, so they ended up compartmentalizing it, moving it to different parts of the memory, and then they were able to reboot it, basically. I don't know. It's basically like programming a calculator. I was a whiz kid with the TI-83 back in the day and could do all sorts of stuff. I had this one program I made, probably more advanced than anything on Voyager 1's probes, by the way. And it was really funny. I made a swear word matrix. And when you executed the program, just a bunch of swear words would just fall down the screen. And people thought that was hilarious. Did some other stuff too. I can't remember. Oh, I remember one time, sorry to the teachers at Mill River in math, I cheated on a math exam, actually, by making a program that would solve the problems for me. I just managed to design a program that would compensate for different kinds of questions. And it wasn't that difficult, actually. And we were forced to use the TI-83. We didn't have a choice. You had to have the calculator to use. And I'm like, okay, teach me how to do this with a pen and paper, and maybe I'll learn something. Otherwise, I'm just learning how to use a calculator. Did well in pre-calc, though. When I took that, I got over a 100 in that class. Chuck Fina, radio waves and light waves are both forms of electromagnetic radiation, and they both travel at the same speed in a vacuum. Oh, I didn't know that, actually. My apologies. Huh. Well, then we need to develop faster than light communication, because otherwise we're going to have a problem. Citrus peppercorn. I planted some cucumbers and squash. Yes, the cucumber bed here is not quite done yet, and it's not yet, the weather is not ready for hot weather crops that would wither if there was a light frost. Citrus peppercorn. Voyager uses tape for memory. Yeah, and they had to rewrite over part of it and send the data to different parts of the tape, which is hilarious. Not a banned account. Will Trump show for the SCOTUS or chicken out? I think he should, but he's probably going to play it safe. Living beyond the grid. Nothing travels faster than light. Why can't it? Is there some hard cap on the ability of something to move? I'm not so sure that there is. It's just that you probably need so much energy to accomplish that, be difficult. Not just a string. Would be cool if you could use spooky action at a distance to communicate digitally. I think that may be possible. I've got my own theories with regards to that actually tie into my definition of the theory of gravity. I think I made a video on that a couple of weeks ago. I can't remember, though. I might have bounced it. Sometimes I have to bounce really interesting topics because, there's so much news to cover. By the way, please send no more super chats. We're running up on 50 minutes here, and I will wrap it up because also I have another live stream later. I'll be going live with the Quartering, of course, on his Rumble broadcast. I believe he also simultaneously streams to YouTube, if I remember correctly. So I'll be on there for about 90 minutes as his co-host for Wednesday. I may be back on again on Friday because I missed 2 Wednesdays when I was in the Netherlands. I mean, I can't stream at like 11:30 at night when I have a 2-year-old in the house. That's probably not going to happen. SP Elite, very delicious seeing leftoids colleges getting shit by leftists. Do you think this will swing the pendulum, or is the pendulum already swinging back? I don't believe in pendulum politics. Not in the case of left and right, at least. Dat Pie over there. Have you heard of Acorn Land Labs? They bring to light things like worm farming and using tech like a methane digester to turn meat and oil into fuel. That sounds pretty cool. I can turn that steak into fuel? That sounds pretty nice. MF Damien sent a science tip DM the other day about propellantless propulsion drive breakthroughs. Interesting stuff. Yes, I saw that, although it appears that that is simply a claim at this time and has not been peer-reviewed. Although it's believable, you never know. Second Fleet Actual, gravity waves propagate FTL. Yeah. There's all sorts of good science news lately. I'm very happy about it. I just wish there was more botanical news, like a news related to plants and fungi and stuff like that. I like the biological sciences best of all. In fact, if somebody wants to DM me on Twitter, is there like a news aggregator, sort of like a ground news or an RCP specifically just for biological science? Because that would be good. Yeah, learn to discern does have a point. Steak is better than fuel. It's like turning gold into lead. Now, the easiest fuel to obtain if you need something beyond wood is just to make charcoal. Wasted Bonehead sticks. No more super chats, but I need to know if you saw the video of Biden saying, "Are you ready to choose freedom over democracy?" No, I was not made aware of this. If you can send that to me on Twitter DM, that would be appreciated, because that would be Biden. Yeah, that's his sort of gaffe. Many such cases. I stopped covering most of Biden's gaffes unless they're on the upper end because there's just so fucking many of them. I can't keep up. I can't turn into the Joe Biden gaffe channel, even though some people would probably appreciate it. Dustin Shupak, there is plant news. They recently found a new organelle called the nitroplast. I covered that actually a few days ago. That breaks down nitrogen. Yes, indeed, a new organelle. This is the idea is that bacteria engulfed at some point other smaller prokaryotes, and they got incorporated genetically, actually, leading to the rise of eukaryotes, actually. Yes, the nitroplast, joining the chloroplast, the mitochondrion, and if I remember correctly, I can't remember what the fourth one is. There's now 4 suspected instances where engulfing occurred successfully of that type. Can't remember what the fourth one was, though. Huh. I'll have to think of it. I'll have to look it up. Anyways, I'm going to go offline now. Don't worry. Tomorrow, I should get my new microphone at some point. I'm hoping it comes in time for the live stream. It may or may not happen. I realize that I don't sound as good as normal when I'm using the Brio for the audio as well as the video. I'm also thinking about upgrading the video setup. I may have a method by which that can work because I just got a really, really nice phone and it has really good video ability. So I'm going to see, can I mount this up here and use that for the video recording? I'm not 100% sure, but if it is possible, I will figure it out. If somebody could DM me any tips on that, I've got a fairly new Samsung now, and its camera is superb. And I'm thinking, well, if I can broadcast in 2K, I've got the connection for it. Why the fuck not? That's about all. Peace out.